After being reborn, the goddess was moved by me. In 2006, Fang Yuan only wanted to maintain her grades, change her preferences, and meet her wife who had worked hard with her in her past life. But he couldn't watch the beautiful homeroom teacher forced to marry a jerk and become a single mother again. So, Fang Yuan decided to take her to buy the World Cup together, but she didn't expect to be stuck from then on. Now that you have money, what do you want? I want to resign. Okay, 1 is also a belt, and 2 are also belts. Rebirth of this game, Fang Yuan inexplicably led the entire Jiaohua List to fly. The old future has become the past, and the new past has not yet arrived. Will it still be her who is waiting on the way? Fang Yuan wants to sing a song. But I can't find you, I miss you so much, I have no choice. Speaking, original name. 2006, School Flower Loves Me Again, also known as. The reborn me is really not playful, on the philosophical differentiation and realistic expression of warm men and hot dogs, etc. Please move directly to the main text, S1, Reflection of Life, Past Life and Shen Ningfei's Past. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This chapter is related to chapter 064 of the main text and serves as an auxiliary plot in Countless Me. Please move to the main text. He put my feet into his clothes and said they weren't cold anymore, so he felt warm all over. It snowed heavily and he was trembling all over. Have you ever had such a dream? Time accelerates infinitely in the dream, and in an instant, it reaches the end of life. Looking back on the past, I suddenly realized that all the ups and downs of your life were just being forced to win the approval of others according to some conventional values, from trembling to confusion and obedience. In the end, all I had left was a detestable blurry face and an irreversible path. The convention of Dog Day. Let nature take its course on Dog Day. If you have obsession, don't give up. Because in the most authentic corner of your heart, there is actually a lake that has never been discovered before, where there is silence and no waves, reflecting the life you most hope for, which is contrary to the so called reality. When you appear at the end of the dream, and the sky shines brightly in my world. I went to a water park to get tanned when I was in 5th grade, and I haven't recovered for over 20 years. To avoid being stuck at home all year round and unable to justify myself, I began my wandering life. Wandering on the streets and alleys of this city. Many people ask me which place I most like. If the questioner is a man, I would say that the alleys in Chengdu, the city walls in Xi'an, and the lamps and drinks in Changchun are all very good. On the contrary, I would say that the sunshine in Xiamen, the prosperity in Shanghai, and the cuisine in Guiyang are still good. They asked me, if I choose a place to settle, where will I be? I answered that I am not worthy of settling down. If I have the luck in the future, it is probably Dali. From Lijiang to Phoenix, from Jinyuan to Jiaxing, there is no place that can compare to the laziness of Dali. Laziness is different from laziness, the former is spiritual. Wandering freely in the ancient city, enjoying the breeze in the Arai lake, and gazing at the rapeseed fields resembling Rubik's cube color blocks. If the snow top on Sangshan is still there, then it's lucky. I feel like I'm in the painting. Yes, anyone with any personality can find the most comfortable pace of life in Dali. The first time I saw a couple in August and September was in Dali at the end of August and the beginning of September. There are not many tourists, and the afternoon breeze is not dry. At that time, I fell in love with Gu Yupan, who casually found a seat on Hugua Street. He was paralyzed for an entire afternoon, without thinking about anything, and his thoughts painted colorful and brilliant daydreams on their own. The bar will only be served one after another until dark, and it is natural for it to be operated as a CAFE during the day, with almost no one around. I believe that this model of daily coffee and night wine will become popular in the future. The sunlight shone through the eyelids and turned the whole world into a crimson hue. Several times when I opened my eyes, it was almost sunset. The sparkling water had long run out of foam, and a full cup of coffee next to it was also layered. I was awakened by the clattering sound of the wheels. The ancient city is full of uneven stone roads, and it is rare to see two-wheeled vehicles here, let alone wheelchairs. Men call September, women call August. In September, they push wheelchairs, and in August, they ride wheelchairs. My hair in September is black and white, and I can't even tell that I'm my age. August is young and beautiful, and it's hard to tell that she's my age. They stopped at an empty table not far away. The smile in August is clear and pure, different from most smiles, which is the true smile. Drink sparkling water in September and American style in August. When September helped August tuck in the blanket, August took advantage of the situation and gently rubbed his hand. August said, "I have heard that Dolly is very good, and you finally brought me here." August keeps talking. September smiled at her without saying a word. Their eyes exchanged with each other, revealing the most beautiful thing in the human world. Unfortunately, one cripple and one mute. I am like a sleazy voyeur, curious about their every move. It wasn't until I was trembling all over that I walked over with the bubbly water that had run out of bubbles. This is an extremely rare and ordinary scene. I would say that Dolly is very good. The stream is quiet, and the wind carries the fragrance of flowers. At the end of my dream is you, the sunset is fading and the sky is bright. I tried to control my voice and not let it tremble. Hello, is it your first time coming to Dolly? A few greetings, a meal, a folk bar music. Strangers become old friends who meet on the horizon, which is the unique charm of the ancient city. I also know his name is September, not mute, her name is August, she has healthy legs, loves music, and can play the flute. I am like a despicable eavesdropper, quietly learning their story. To the road I've walked with you, I feel sad passing by. September is the same year, month, and day as me, it's a coincidence. It's just that he's missing a good mouth like mine. August interrupted me with a smile. No, my family may have said it before September. September had already fallen asleep on the thick wooden table, still tightly gripping one of August's hands. I said, "Well, this brother has nothing wrong with him, but he's almost drunk." August gently touched his half-white hair with the other hand. Not to mention, my September Baijiu weighs half a kilogram and beer weighs half a kilogram. He was just tired. After chatting for a long time, I know they come from northeast China and September is a small boss. I gave a detailed introduction to the local customs and some niche secret attractions and cuisine, and it wasn't until the middle of the month that the show ended. When we parted ways, we left each other a phone number and QQ to greet each other. In the following week, I had 3 meals, drank twice, and in September, I showed my true face, which is only 1.5 pounds. For the next 3 or 4 years, whenever I went to that city in the north, I would meet and drink freely, exchange experiences, and spend most of the remaining time chatting in space. They also traveled many places in those years, and dog food overflowed the screen. I can't remember from which day, I suddenly lost sight of their messages, QQ couldn't see a trace, and I couldn't reach them through text messages or phone calls. This has been a matter of great concern to me for a long time. Goodbye to August, it's Dolly 2 years later, still in late August and early September. Over the years, the bar has had 2 new owners. I live in Dolly every year, so I am quite familiar with it. That night in the middle of the moon, there was a commotion of pushing cups and changing cups in my ears. Suddenly, I heard familiar voices. One American, one sparkling. August is very tall, over 1.7 meters tall. He sits opposite me with 2 non-alcoholic drinks, and his smile remains the same as before. I raised my wrist to signal that it was time for her to drink and looked at the door. August waves. September hasn't arrived. I was stunned. Is it true that there is no long-lasting and strong love in this world? I said, so this soaking in water was for me. She said, it's for him. I have a particularly bad habit of being extremely sensitive. A heart sank instantly, and the surrounding noise and the singer's singing became distant and blurred. Me. What happened in September? What's wrong with you guys? Do you believe it? There really is a long and strong love in this world. Like a pastor's recitation. Regardless of wealth, poverty, health or illness, he is willing to marry you, take care of you, and become your husband. She is willing to marry you and be your wife until death. No. Even in death, we cannot separate you. September sold the company when they married August, and the two of them ran a medium-sized coffee shop, which was August's wish. Every year, they spend some time to see the world, which is their wish for September. September once said, "Life is different from movies. Life is much harder. If you don't go out for a walk, you will think that the world is right in front of you." This is the line from the movie. But I really want to take her to see, life is too short. The life in September is very short, even shorter than imagined. Tomorrow we will be running a race against the unexpected, and they won unexpectedly. September took many beautiful photos for August, but the beautiful scenery is generally rare and rugged. An accident occurred at the step he took back. August said, "You know, life is often just one step away, and beyond that, there is a vast abyss." Over the past 2 years, August has revisited the beautiful scenery with photos and memories, wandering between sadness and happiness with every step. September seems to be still here, still holding her hand, walking through every rare and rugged danger. September, do you believe it? The road we have walked with you, even passing by in August, is full of happiness. 3. I finally know how painful a person who loves me so much that they go crazy must be in peace in the end. In September, with her intelligence and stable academic performance, she has been mischievous since childhood, engaging in fights, going to the 3 halls and 1 society, and even being called the Great Demon King in high school. He has an outgoing and generous personality, with a strong ability to incite others, thus making a wide range of friends. After graduation, September entered the system and became a media outlet, but the restless factor in the body did not decrease with the beating of society. He resolutely resigned and started his own business. He didn't spend a penny to get a franchise license, earned 8-figure profits, and lost the same amount of money. He also made friends and was tricked by friends. At that age, with ups and downs like him, most people can't handle it, but his innate optimism is admirable. September said, "No one will not be down in that situation. Being optimistic is simply believing that there are still some things in life that are more important than money. Persist, if you don't have money, you'll end up dead." But I later found out that when I met that special person, having no money was really frustrating. September is as tall and handsome as I am, and I have naturally had many girlfriends, but what truly changed him was that August, when he fell into a slump, came like an angel. The winter in the north is very cold, and I can't afford to pay for heating in September. One day in August, she froze and put her feet in her clothes and pressed them against her belly. He said, "As long as your feet are not cold, you will be warm." It snows heavily and shivers all over in September. August and September are together, snuggling up for warmth. In the stage where dogs dislike people, September smells the most sincere happiness. As the saying goes, pain hits a dog in the water. How could heaven make people easily attain happiness? Beloved, across mountains and seas can be leveled, my beloved is separated by my mother.in.law. Hey. In September, I couldn't afford a wedding house, and in August, my family encountered sudden changes. My mother.in.law waved a big stick and hit the mandarin ducks. I lived upstairs in August and September, but I had nowhere to show my skills and had no chance to see August again. In August, he took care of his family and said resolute words. Look, how bloody. If it were the vast majority of people, perhaps this fate would really come to an end. But September perseveres in pain. I broke my bone while walking in August, and I won't see you in September. My heart is twisted like a knife. August is waiting for him. September doesn't know. He only knows that August will no longer talk to him. He is afraid that all enthusiasm will disappear in waiting and disappointment. He perseveres in pain. At that time, even saying, hello, was afraid of becoming a disturbance. September is full of twists and turns, leaving early and returning late like a mouse sneaking through alleys, afraid of encountering her family and causing her trouble. That person is clearly by his side, but he seems to be on the horizon. My hair turned white in September. On July 4, 1776, a declaration was issued somewhere on earth that was widely recognized and admired by the vast majority of people. The declaration first states that there exist certain truths in this world, and among these truths, the first and foremost is that all are born equal, and that the Creator grants them certain inalienable rights, including the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. According to this declaration, even in any mode of relationship, people have the right to pursue happiness, and no one else has the right to interfere or prevent it. In September, we pursue happiness without disturbance or entanglement, just like the 4-wheel drive car we quietly saved up and assembled when we were young. Everyone is born equal and free. I will not be loyal to anyone, I will only be loyal to pursuing. September gradually became silent, with a resolute and composed gaze. 3 years later, my career rebounded. The ending was successful, and the process went from bitter to sweet in the aftertaste. Fracture, it hurts so much, he really wants to be with her. Loneliness is so painful, she really wants to be with him. I bought a wheelchair in September and pushed August to all the places she wanted to go. The hoof flowers in Chengdu are so delicious, let's go eat them. Xi'an has built a large scenic area, which is said to be very beautiful. Let's go and take a look. Don't you really enjoy the photography exhibition in Pingyao? Take me to take a look too. Can you show me the photos you took at the exhibition? It would be even better if we could win a prize. Are the Zongzi in Jiaxing, the rain in Yunnan, the snow in Sangshan, the moon in Irai Lake, and plum wine really delicious? Take me to all the places you've been, will you get tired of it? Go listen to beautiful folk songs, I love music. In September, I saw an angel in the abyss, and at the end of my dream, I saw August. From then on, the sky was bright. Drinking sparkling water in August. This thing has no taste, I don't like it. I always ask him why he drinks this, and he says it's good for his health. He wants to take good care of himself and accompany me to more places. I won't drink coffee anymore, it's so bitter. I also need to take good care of my body and take him to more places. That year, he went to Zhaohuan.com and put my foot on my stomach, saying that as long as my feet were not cold, my body would be warm. It was snowing heavily that day, and he was so cold that he trembled all over. Grapefruit, do you know? A person who talks endlessly in a meeting for a whole day, someone who loves me so much that he goes crazy, suddenly becomes quiet. At that time, how bitter his heart should be. He said that if you choose to settle in a domestic city, it is Dali. But I can't stay in China anymore. Well, I've already bought the plane ticket to the UK. I heard there's a place called Edinburgh there. August left, she didn't cry. She said. When we were together again, September cried. He told me that when people are at the extreme of happiness, they tremble all over and cry. That kind of crying is much more satisfying than tears of sorrow. We have agreed to leave all our future tears for happiness. Oh, my goodness. I think at this moment, August should be carrying the happiness of September, enjoying a brand new and beautiful scenery in a rugged and dangerous place with few people. Life will always give you answers, but it won't tell you everything at once. Relax and respect your heart, where there is a silent lake, like a reflection of life, contrary to the so called reality. There is not so much junk, feel happy, just keep going. The following paragraph was written in a small notebook in September and August, when September was in an abyss. I hope you, now, don't be afraid of the status quo or try to force yourself. Things are unpredictable, and there will always be a period of time that is wasted. There will always be powerless unhappiness that makes you stay for a short time, so that in the shining days ahead, you can thank these bad days. These days are often very valuable, but the premise is to make them worth it. There is also a small heart later. 1. Hi 2. You are listening at novel full.audio. Wife, let's go snoring together tomorrow night. The phone was connected, and Fang Yuan was playing around on the street, giggling at the receiver. How much have you been drinking? There are liver protection pills in the refrigerator, and the honey water I made for you at night is hanging on the coffee table. My fiancé A's voice was a bit angry. If you dare not get up tomorrow morning, I'll take care of my mother and sleep first. Thank you for my mother.in.law, whether to go around or let you marry. Squeak. Bang. Husband. The broken phone lay by the drainage ditch. The call was not over, and there were still choking cries inside. Where are you, husband? Don't scare me. Slag. Slag. The circle by the classroom window was sliding, and through the glass, he saw the magpie passing by cursing. The beautiful desk mate handed a notebook under her arm and immediately lowered her head to pretend to read the textbook. His pure and delicate appearance, rare in the future, made him momentarily lose consciousness. On the paper are a few delicate small characters. What's wrong with you? He picked up a water-based pen and looked at it. After college, the frequency of this thing disappearing mysteriously is comparable to that of a lighter. I haven't seen anyone pay attention to how much ink is left in a pen. I had a long dream and just recovered. How long is it? About 17 years. The lesbian desk blinked and suppressed a smile. That's a long time. We're only 17 years old. 17 years seems like a lifetime. Yes, like a lifetime. He touched the desk and smoothly pulled out the three-handed Nokia N70. On the color screen, it shows April 29, 2006 at 11:15 a.m. The colon in the middle jumps and time passes normally. Fang Yuan felt that the scene in front of him was too absurd, like Miaba tapping his fingers, and the next frame of the scene turned into a grey wolf flying high into the sky. In 2023, Fang Yuan envied that silly and naive woman who had never caught a single sheep, but had a hot and cold wife on the outside. What about myself? In 2014, he resigned from the system to start a business in order to earn money and buy a wedding house. In 2019, he went bankrupt and was dumped, making it difficult to afford instant noodles. Then, Shen and Ningfei, who had known each other for a long time, descended like an angel, not disliking or abandoning him, gradually pulling himself out of the abyss. Although they were blocked by their mother.in.law in the middle, the two of them managed to endure until the end. No dowry, no big house, just warm embrace in the shabby room. Why was I knocked back into the classroom when I received my certificate the next day? The silly wolf who bares his teeth and shouts, "I'll come back," does indeed return to the sheep village every episode, but when he was hit, his mouth didn't even open. Thinking of Shen and Ningfei, who may be heartbroken on the other end of time and space now, Fang Yuan's heart was beating uncontrollably. 5 minutes ago. He lay on the desk with his eyes wide open, and the first scene was the sunlight spreading on a delicate melon seed face, with a soft halo of pink skin and soft short hair hanging down his shoulders. His Adam's apple wriggled, and he thought to himself, will such a delicate girl get angry by pinching her face? Anyway, it's a dream, and men feel familiar with beautiful women, don't they? It's okay. On the white tablecloth is Akagi Haruko painted with a ballpoint pen, and next to it is a stack of textbooks and pirated novels thicker than the Xinhua dictionary. Purple River. Blasphemy. My own desk. My nose restarted, and I could smell the scent of books mixed with a faint scent of laundry detergent, which is unique to the campus. The ears are also turned on. The sound of wind, flipping through books, desks and chairs colliding also, a reminder from a beautiful desk mate. The teacher called you. He wanted to speak, but his throat was dry and his hands and feet numb, like a ghost pressing on a bed. A test paper was spread out in front of the desk. 2006 Dongshan No. 5 Middle School Mathematics Exam Paper for Grade 2, 2nd, of High School, scattered with red square root and a small amount of X, the total score is handwritten and elegant. 108, in the name column, there are two concise and beautiful small regular script characters. Lu Su. It's too realistic. He can see the tiny dust floating in the air and the ink blurring at the edges of the handwriting. This is not a dream. Is this reborn? Is it because the heavens felt that Shen Ningfei didn't enjoy the best time and owed her too much, wanting to give her a prosperous rest of her life again? This reason tie pants are spicy. There is no way to refute. In an instant, Fang Yuan accepted. What are you thinking? The teacher is coming over. Lu Su scolded him. This fight is like a basketball bouncing fiercely on the ground, like a sudden collapse after the expansion of time and space. The scene of the next 17 years seems to be tightly grasped by an invisible hand, forcefully thrown back on the river of time. Fang Yuan. You stand up. A female voice came, resembling a spell from Tianding, and instantly untied his seal. Finally able to move. Class teacher Chen Yuan teaches mathematics. With just one glance, Fang Yuan recognized this tall and beautiful woman. Chen Yuan will get married by the end of 2006, yes, this year. Then at some point next year, that bastard contractor will drive drunk and break into the school gate, beating up the principal who is chatting with the janitor in the reception room. At that time, I was also sitting in this position and saw her running towards the school gate outside the window, wiping away tears. Later, Chen Yuan resigned, and when she heard about it again, she divorced and took care of her children at home. Years later, I stumbled upon a beautiful woman on the street, where time and suffering whitened her hair. What's wrong with you? Seeing him suddenly stand up as if startled, Chen Yuan frowned and asked, completely unaware that Fang Yuan was pondering her. What is the meaning of rebirth? Saving the world. That's Ultraman's job. Being a person requires conscience and one cannot take someone else's job. To be a great enterprise, to earn both fame and fortune and become the richest person. Perhaps if he were reborn before 2019, he would do it differently now. Money is very important, and it will become increasingly important, but during those days with Shen Ningfei, he realized that love is more important. It's not love, he's not even sure if love exists or not, or in other words, love is a collective term for recognition, perseverance, companionship and responsibility, in people's mouths. It's not the kind where one party has been struggling for many years, and the other party runs away after being hooked by someone else's finger. What he said about love is all the beauty in life. Money cannot be without, but limited time cannot be fully focused on money. It is important to keep going and not overlook other responsibilities. Chen Yuan. Do you want to take a flight with you? No. Old. Teacher, which question do you want me to answer? Stopping the mixed emotions of the 5 flavors, he said a sentence, feeling his throat still dry and itchy. Subconsciously, he picked up the pink thermos on his right hand and took a strong sip, his mouth full of the sweet aroma of dates and brown sugar. My desk mate took it back in shock and embarrassment. Chen Yuan said, fill in the blank, the 5th way. Fang Yuan picked up his own test paper. 147, almost perfect score. At this point, my grades were really good, but soon after I boarded the early bus of internet addiction and fell into depravity. Fill in the blank 5th passage. If x square. What's so special about this? The answer is that the absolute value of x is equal to 1. Are those 2 vertical bars called absolute values? I'm asking you about your problem-solving approach. Teacher, I just woke up from sleep. Chen Yuan tilted her head, indicating confusion. Students from far and near looked towards this side, their sneaky appearance making Fang Yuan laugh. He knew in his heart that he was not like a good student in the traditional sense. Being independent yet foolish and optimistic, like a teapot, with a fiery butt and still whistling. Fighting, skipping evening classes, smoking, drinking, and reading novels, being a skilled fighter, earning the nickname, Great Demon King. My classmates are a bit afraid of themselves. He didn't take it seriously, and no one could experience his own journey. Compared to the future, this is the best time. Fang Yuan scratched his head and said, my head is still a bit unclear. Chen Yuan stared at him for 4 or 5 seconds and waved her hand. Sit down and listen carefully. Lu Su, get up and talk. The little girl was about to cry and said, Teacher, I answered this question incorrectly. Lu Su's grades are in the upper middle, with a well-behaved personality, quiet and lovely, and a 360-degree cleanliness. Although she doesn't have long flowing hair, she is also the Athena in the hearts of many guards, and the only female student in the class to make it to the Jiaohua List. In their previous life, the two had a complicated relationship. It was almost graduation when Fang Yuan suddenly had a feeling for her. A fair and delicate face, clear eyes, raised nose and small lips. It looks beautiful at first glance, that's called a pure. As he was about to graduate from high school and enter his freshman year, he chased after the Shuyuan website www.zhaoshuyuan.com for a while. Later on, he went to the seaside, and the little girl stayed in her hometown to study a second year. In a different place. He moved on to a different love story in a proper manner. After years, there was no further contact. In this life. I'm sorry, I can't mess with you again. 5 minutes later, Fang Yuan wrote in her notebook. Yes, like a lifetime, what else does Lu Su need to write? The school bell rang at noon. Chen Yuan was organizing textbooks on the podium and said. At the end of May, there will be a second college entrance examination. After entering the 3rd year of high school, our humanities class will significantly reduce the class hours for 3 science subjects. If you still want to adjust your direction in humanities and sciences, you can refer to the results of this exam. Alright, class is over now. Fang Yuan, come here. He picked up his phone and stood up. He saw Lu Su's exam paper pressing down on the grade list, and casually pulled it out. 5th middle school is a key area in the district, with 14 classes in each grade and a population of 1,800. First place in the first row. Fang Yuan. Looking at the results of randomly selecting 985 and being lazy to look at 211 on the list, the first to bear the brunt is the battle to defend the achievements. The second place is not important, but at least one line must be maintained. As long as you pass through 1 year, change your wish to Binhai University, so that you can see Feifei 8 years earlier than your previous life. And strive to be together 12 years earlier. Just thinking about it, Fang Yuan is full of fighting spirit. The teacher is looking for you. Do you need me to bring you food? Lu Su's gentle voice interrupted his imagination. Fang Yuan choked for a moment, flipped through the recipe from her memory, and took out 5 yuan to give her. The beef tendon noodles have a lot of sesame sauce, 2 skewers of chicken chops, it's so spicy. Forget it, don't be spicy. Thank you, sister. The little girl remained silent, took the money, and walked briskly out of the classroom. 2. Don't always tease your desk mate. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The desks in the teaching and research group are placed opposite each other, with test papers and lesson plans stacked next to insulated cups and green apples. Chen Yuan started teaching at number 5 middle school after graduating from normal school and worked as a substitute teacher for 6 months before becoming a homeroom teacher. Back to school after leaving school, there is not much exposure to society. Now, her heart was filled with hair as she was looked at by the circle standing in front of her. After nearly 2 years as a homeroom teacher, Chen Yuan has consciously gained a considerable understanding of him. Smart and energetic, a little precocious, not studying regularly, appearing unreasonable in grades, mischievous, but not bullying girls. Ka-chi, she took a bite of the apple and the juice overflowed from the corner of her mouth, pursed and licked. What kind of expression is that, stinky kid? Did he swallow saliva? Chen Yuan sat on the chair with her left leg crossed by her right leg, trembling her feet with a delicate grip. The arch of the foot is exposed, half fair and half pink along the curve, and there are faint blue blood vessels buried on the snowy back of the foot. The black flat shoes on the toes curled up and down, and the beaded bow on the upper also flapped its wings slightly. She bent down and dug into the cabinet on the side of her desk. Her shirt went up, revealing half of her small waist. She stood up and handed an apple. Here you are, don't be greedy. Can an old man in his 30s not notice her expression? In my previous life, I didn't think she had a joyful energy. Fang Yuan, you're not normal. Did you fight with someone again? The bright yellow sunlight plated a layer of gold on her side face, and the delicate fuzz of her virginity softened the edges of the golden thread, like a carefully selected peach placed in the studio for shooting commercials. In the halo, Chen Wanmei was so beautiful that she was bubbling. Thinking of her later life. Ripples rose in Fang Yuan's heart. Teacher Chen, have you been taking the postgraduate entrance examination recently? Ha! Don't call yourself old class anymore. Chen Yuan put down the apple. That's right. You should be less mischievous and mischievous. With your current grades, you have arrived at university and are guaranteed to be admitted to graduate school. You won't be like me, squeezing time for exams while working. Fang Yuan followed her and said, yes, I work hard. What are you planning to do for the postgraduate entrance examination? What are you doing? Chen Yuan was a bit confused and said, a master's degree earns an additional 500 yuan in salary, and at the end of her tenure, she can still compete for the position of director of the teaching and research group. You really have no ambition. But I can't tell her. Take the postgraduate entrance exam well, then pursue a PhD, and don't go on blind dates. What about you? What are your plans? Chen Yuan poured 2 cups of water and handed him a paper cup. Fang Yuan said, hold on to your destiny and reduce regrets. Chen Yuan rolled her eyes and said, what a mess. I'm asking what direction you plan to take, literature or science. Isn't class 3 a liberal arts class? Or are you not planning on having me? Chen Yuan was not very receptive to these words, waiting for him to say another word, but there was no further response. She pinned her drooping long hair behind her ear, revealing her clear earlobe, and then took out the grade chart to carefully read it. If you don't study well every day, fight and skip school, you won't have any honors. If you compete for a city's top 3 students, there might be bonuses. Fang Yuan said that he is determined to study hard and maintain his grades. What kind of 3 good students are too far away? Afterwards, he requested Chen Yuan to take time to study for himself and reassured her that he would definitely be admitted to his ideal school. Does this stinky kid take the initiative to request extra classes? Let other teachers know if they are still shocked and have their chins dropped. Chen Yuan was very pleased and said, which one in the north of Qing dynasty? Binhai University. Fang Yuan's eyes are filled with longing, and his tone is firm. Chen Yuan didn't react and nodded, muttering a few words. Then she jumped into a rage, like a startled cat, stretching out her paws and twisting Fang Yuan's ears. It hurts. Fang Yuan held her hand and slowly pulled it away. My future and happiness are waiting at Binhai University. Let go of P. Chen Yuan was so angry that she cursed profusely. He said that preaching and teaching also emphasize education without discrimination. Why do students discriminate against schools? Gold will shine wherever it is. Chen Yuan gasped for breath with her hips crossed, saying that it was a scam and that gold would be spent wherever it was. She said that Dean Lu of the orphanage is his guardian, and as a homeroom teacher, she is also considered half of them. No one can make him fill out such a volunteer. His previous life experience taught him that reasoning with women is foolish. Fang Yuan will no longer argue. I have completely forgotten all the knowledge points that should be forgotten, except for bilingualism. I dare not say that I can pass any subject. Oh, pay off the North. Lan Xiang wants to know more. I will continue my studies in humanities. The office was quiet for a while. Chen Wan said, on the first, I have something to do and I need to go home. On the second, I will help you with your tutoring. Fang Yuan shook his head and said, I'm going out tomorrow night, the fourth. Where did it take so long? You don't have any relatives. Chen Wan made a slip of the tongue, with an apologetic expression on her face. However, she saw that his expression was both longing and lewd. Far away. Smiling at her, Fang Yuan said. I'll go back first. Teacher, do you know Hippo and Beiji? Chen Wan didn't understand. He shook the apple in his hand and said, being a vegetarian alone cannot reduce weight. There are students playing and chasing in the corridor, the rain in the corridor covered with grapevines. On the playground, there is a large army of school uniforms leaving school for meals. Aunt Zhang's beef tendon noodles are now just a small stall at the school gate. A few years later, the store will open, but the recipe is not sold and there is no other sub-number. Sugar should not be too much, sesame sauce should be too much, 2 spoonfuls of secret chili oil. Hiss, that's the smell. Fang Yuan was eating and was about to cry. Lu Su nibbled on the stone pot mixed rice without spicy sauce and looked strange. Is he so hungry? Fang Yuan placed the fried skewers in her lunch box and said, please have a chicken cutlet. Lu Su shook her head and said, I have enough to eat. No spicy, don't worry. The little girl lowered her head and peeled the meat off the bamboo stick with chopsticks, her ears turning red. You have a footprint on your waist. Fang Yuan patted casually. Lu Su thought to himself, it must be Teacher Chen kicking him, this bad guy. In the afternoon, there were 4 classes, and Fang Yuan didn't listen for half a sentence. After lunch, he began to read several science textbooks such as mathematics, physics, chemistry, and biology. He understood what reviewing meant, just confirming what he didn't know. And then I found out that I really don't. During break time, some classmates asked him to talk, but he just smiled and managed to respond with a few words. A few people from the neighboring class asked him, at night, the King of Fighters will compete in a 97 PK match, with 1 cigarette per round. Are you going? He thought about it and took out most of the boxes of soft red plums from his backpack, along with a lighter, and sent them out. I also received 2 love letters, one from my senior sister and the other from my junior sister. Which girl doesn't embrace spring? The emotions during this season are so pure that they have nothing to do with the house tickets. He was very interested and carefully reviewed it. The letterhead is colored with cartoon patterns and lavender fragrance. The junior wrote. Perhaps it's fate, perhaps it's a miracle. In this life, we can cross the sea of people and meet. It's the smiling face of the god of fate, and it's the fulfillment of a millennium-long prayer. Lu Su tilted her head to sneak a few glances, then turned back. What the senior wrote is. Let's get to know each other. I'm about to graduate. Are you talking to someone? I would like to share all the first times with you. My phone number is XXXX, simple and rough, square and majestic with vigorous hair. Lu Su turned his little brain over again at some point, his face turning red and red. Are you peeking? Fang Yuan joked softly. No, I accidentally saw it. Lu Su was very embarrassed and said, who wants to peek at this disgusting thing? The teacher said we can't have early love. Nausea. It's not early, it's too late to fall in love again. Which one do you think is written well? Lu Su glared at him and started doing the exercises. Fang Yuan looked at her with a smile as she filled in the parentheses in the 4 options of A, B, C, D, and X. The little girl finally couldn't help but. Of course, the girl in the first year of high school wrote well. There's no such thing as another girl saying that kind of thing. After speaking, he ignored him. Lu Su is a clear and flawless girl, and Fang Yuan doesn't want to tease her. He tilted his head and stared blankly out the window, thinking that if youth had any flavor, it should be the faint soap smell on Lu Su's body, or the sweet fragrance of beads in her pencil case. If youth has colors, it must be the bright mint color of late spring and early summer. The huailiu tree below the teaching building, twigs and leaves, swaying by the wind. On the basketball court, there were several teenagers attending physical education classes, banging their baskets. The girls walked around the runway in groups of 3 or 2, occasionally whispering a few words in close ear and then giggling. Writing, drawing, and then daydreaming. After a few classes, my thoughts are basically organized. I have written down everything I can. Inside the small notebook is the next 17 years, his life of another bottle. Yesterday was but not now. Is it today and not yesterday? On the other end of the anchor point, he has missed out on many things in the past. He has come to make up for it. It is important to look for the past in the book garden www.jiaohua.com, otherwise where would there be any clues? He dare not miss any details. Once the cause and effect are confused, he cannot bear the loss of the outcome again. He cannot even think about it and will suffocate. April 29, 2006. Tonight, he needs to confirm something. Confirmed, this note is the only one that works. As school was about to end, his 2-year-old desk mate picked him up again. Senior sister or junior sister, which one are you prepared to accept? Look, why don't you say you're narrow-minded? What does it mean? Only children make choices. Lu Suning sneered, do you mean you want everything? Fang Yuan tirelessly explained, adults are very realistic, and when choosing a spouse, they will first consider the next generation. Choose a beautiful one. That Miss Yang is the school flower, she is beautiful. Square and circle shake head. In biology class it was said that mate selection is for reproduction, and optimal selection is necessary for optimal reproduction. Therefore, adults will choose cafeterias with abundant resources. Don't do anything. Your grades are not as good as mine because you haven't read the book thoroughly. You need to catch a glimpse and know the whole picture. Don't look at the thin textbooks, the knowledge behind them. TSK. I don't know if it's anger or shame, but after hearing the string sound, Lu Suzong's face turned red. Fang Yuan felt that he was a bit excessive. He had only been returning to his hometown for half a day, so he bullied his desk mate like this. It was really unacceptable. After all, young people should understand moderation. Similarly, a boy named Zhang Yao in the class also blushed and fiercely threw N93 to the ground. Being able to smash Nokia is enough to prove its indignation. Fang Yuan ignored it and appreciated the Athena effect of the stars and moon during this time. Although immature, it is very pure. 3. You guys are bullying too much. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fang Yuan has a good memory and can remember the origin of his love for painting. There are not many toys in the orphanage, and he was thin and weak when he was young, with no fighting ability. When others are building blocks, he always curls up in the corner and picks bricks. Teacher Xiaozhang had to sweep out a pile of wall ash every day, and in the end, he couldn't bear it anymore. The young preschool teacher bought him a set of watercolor pens at his own expense. In the painting competition, he drew a house with a chimney, with several ellipses on the chimney, symbolizing someone cooking. He noticed this detail that could evoke associations and create a deep and three-dimensional painting, which can clearly be called talent. Standing below the tallest building in Dongshan, he looked up. The pitch-black silhouette in the dusk background resembles a giant beast crawling on the wilderness. If he has a paintbrush right now, he really wants to draw a butterfly, but the canvas needs to be big. The kind of wings that can be drawn to block out the sky and the sun, and the kind that can be used to move clouds and cover the moon with a slight vibration. That's right. What kind of storms can a little butterfly cause? Along the way, the first carrefour in Dongshan is under construction, right, the pink light in the stationery store is on, that's right, Jiaohua building opened today, that's right. He is not shocked by the grandeur of tall buildings, but only by the mercy of his own fate. Yes, nothing has changed. As expected, today's evening news will report as follows. The tallest building in Dongshan, Jiaohua Building, invested and constructed by Jiaohua Group, the top local tax-paying enterprise, opened today and officially announced its investment standards to the public. However, an unexpected event occurred during the ribbon cutting in the morning. A 6 square meter tempered glass fell off the 19th floor and hit the flying dragon sculpture in the center of the square, causing the dragon head to shatter. This accident caused 8 serious injuries, and our reporters will follow up on the subsequent developments. A piece of glass, 6 square meters, 19th floor, faucet, 8 people. Data cannot deceive people. Fang Yuan withdrew from the crowd surrounding the warning line and laughed while pedaling on his bike. In his memory, this is a story, in the present, it is an accident. He has no ability to stop this accident. Laughing is because he knows that those 17 years were not dreams. Wife, wait for me, I'll give you bread and daffodils. He pedaled faster and faster, the lights on the road to victory retreating, the evening breeze blowing in his face, and the blue and white school uniform bulging behind him, leaving behind a crazy smile all the way. In an old neighborhood. This one-bedroom apartment is the current home of Fang Yuan, the first floor of an old red brick building. 1 bedroom, 1 living room, 1 kitchen, 1 bathroom, on the first floor, 58 square meters. The room is not messy, but the taste is not good. There are a bunch of marinated lamb skewers in the kitchen. That's right, except for the 750 yuan living security fund given to orphans by the street, all his income comes from selling grilled skewers. The rent was 500 yuan per month, and Dean Lu initially helped him pay it for 6 months. Later, he never reached out to the orphanage again. He took out a small iron box from the cabinet in the bedroom, which contained all his savings. Red, blue, green and purple are placed beside a bottle of Dracaena Sanderiana on the tea table. The reason why RMB is likable is because it is inherently colorful and can be bought with a variety of colors. Counted 3 times, it's 19,892.5 yuan. I didn't expect to be quite wealthy. What gift should I buy for my wife? Here, when we first meet, this is a gift for you, the golden flute, hee. It costs over 100,000 yuan, but I can't afford it now. Money, money. Fang Yuan decides to give up setting up a stall, and the Reborn mutton shashlik. Don't embarrass the organization. After tidying up the house, I casually walked out in canvas shoes. The city has not yet started to be renovated, and there are barbecue stalls on the roadside. Ren Xiaoyao is located north of No. 5 Middle School and his home is south of No. 5 Middle School, on a street that only takes a dozen minutes to walk. The internet cafe is playing Notes, which became popular last year when she was a super female voice. It sounds very nice, with 2 lines of water. I see the sky is very blue just like the warmth of you by my side. There are too many regrets in life. The more people grow, the more they feel lonely. I really want to fly as far as possible without getting tired. Spray oil, I'll get stuck in the middle. It's a newly tested go-kart. Burst, dare to click no, click, +11. Hot-blooded martial arts equipment is refined. In his previous life, he played with doctors for a while, teamed up with people every day to catch babies. After the era of music and dance groups cracking keyboards, internet cafes nowadays are not as noisy. Fang Yuan charged 100 yuan to apply for a card, and Master Kong added King Jin Luo. He took a bottle of mineral water from the freezer on his own. Turn on and search for entries. Kuo Music was launched last August. Weibo was only released in 2009, but Wang Jidong is already developing it now. Headlines. Software and hardware are not supported now. Fang Yuan is angry. Real estate, stock market, internet, finance. What should we do? Now my rank is too low. What he needs is a fast, low-risk, and low-threshold channel for accumulating original funds. Live one more life. He understands that success is not as simple as the news claims. News is a summary, which is very easy to summarize, but the process is not about watching Mandarin ducks embroider from the teacher's perspective. Don't give the golden needle to others, which will mislead children. He had a thought of coming back a few years earlier would be better, but it was quickly forgotten. He is heartbroken and can't wait too long. At this time, it's just the right time. I still have 1 year left to go to college, and the sky is high, allowing birds to fly. I was stunned for a moment. The internet administrator girl came over wearing a polo shirt and jeans, carrying instant noodles, with a plastic fork inserted into the noodle bucket. Fang Yuan tilted his head slightly and looked up. Oh, this girl has an impression. Usually responsible for card opening and checkout, occasionally the pager rings to deliver food and drinks to people. In his 3rd year of high school, he became an internet-addicted boy. In order to skip classes and go online, he couldn't help but choose to give up writing and pursue a career. After going to the art class for training, Ren Xiaoyao went yellow and never saw her again. Thinking of this, he seemed to have some information flashing through his mind, but he didn't catch it. The girl is very beautiful and cute, with a small round face, a small mouth, and a small nose. Her voice is soft and sticky with a hint of southern accent, and her eyes are watery and pitiful. Also, her son's cafeteria is too thick, and the 3 blue printed characters, Ren Xiaoyao, are almost becoming 3-dimensional. Based on his experience, reaching out for a window may require a touch of 80 miles. It's always bad to eat instant noodles. I added a tea egg for you. Thank you. Fang Yuan was about to touch his pocket when the girl said, "No money, please eat." After turning red and returning to the bar, her eyes occasionally scanned this side. The tin-foil hot stamping guy who was browsing the internet next to him looked at it for a while, then took off his headphones and said, "Handsome guy Nyo wow, how many people are up to this old girl's ideas? TSK, 36, 26, 36, they're top-notch. For the accuracy of this string of numbers, square and circle indicate that I am not alone," showing a shy smile. "Parents don't allow dating. Tin foil burns on my face with disdain." Fang Yuan scratched his head. "I received an apple today, waiting for an ice cream, and then came a tea egg. If he were to write a book, he would definitely name it, Reborn Me Eating Soft Rice." Just then, there was a commotion behind him. "Mr. Ku is here. Kugu will form a team later." Fang Yuan turned around and grinned, a sudden melody echoing in his mind. How can a girl with braces look beautiful? She has such strong and beautiful legs. The Vietnamese anime, Wrong, has not yet been released, but as Fang Yuan looked at the 3 people walking by, the melody in his mind couldn't stop. It was both joyful and harmonious. Even, he added a lot of visuals to his mind. For example, bringing cement village head dance, or throwing long slanted bangs 3 times in 2 sentences. The second scene has come true. Coxcomb head, looking for a book garden. www.jiaohua.com. With wide pants legs and a pair of skateboarding shoes, a shiny black jacket made of synthetic leather, and a metal chain hanging from the waist of the pants. At present, the most trendy attire is Hari Hahan. Hualu is the worst. 2 men and 1 woman, with 5 different colors on their heads. The colorful youth trembles with the footsteps. The person around the beginning remembered. Not even if I don't remember it, it's too big a deal. He also retrieved the fleeting information in his mind just now. Ku Xiao, the son of Mr. Ren Xiaoyao, is 2 years older than Fang Yuan and is currently a freshman at Dongshan University of Science and Technology. At the internet cafe, he occasionally teams up with people to play games, and when he wins, he is happy. When he is happy, he gives equipment, and everyone cheers him up. People call him Ko with a hint of flattery, but not entirely. This person's name is Ku Xiao. Is it interesting? Ku Xiao is not short or handsome, but he thinks he is very handsome, and this confidence is reflected in his actions such as occasionally shaking his hair and lifting his head curtain. In his senior year of high school, he was training in an art class outside of his hometown, where there were 2 fellow students. One of them is from number 5 middle school, not familiar with him before, but he has been working in the painting class for a year and has a good relationship. This student has received a message. Ren Xiaoyao's Ku Xiao abused a female internet administrator in the storage room of an internet cafe. It is said to be a Hunan girl, with 2 parts torn apart, which is quite tragic. The owner of the internet cafe took hundreds of thousands of yuan and gave the girl a lot of money. In theory, things can be suppressed. The girl received the money, mailed it to her home, and then on a crowded night at the internet cafe, she wiped her neck with a paper cutter in front of everyone. If a wise person is wronged, why cry and fly? Will cook in the wind, blood-stained cloth clothes. The last sentence left by the girl for Taiping Tianxia is: "You are bullying people too much. For, what are you doing back here?" You are listening at novel full.audio. Ku Xiao's fate was not followed by Fang Yuan. Ren Xiaoyao later became yellow, and no one dared to come here to surf the internet again. This 3-story standalone building gradually became abandoned. Nearly 10 years later, Fang Yuan once returned to his hometown and found that it was demolished into a wasteland. He firmly believed that there were not many people left in the world who still remembered the girl with blood splattered 5 feet and hatred filled the world. Thinking of this, he looked over. Ku Xiao is holding 3 roses in front of the bar, which he doesn't know where they came from. He wants to hand the paper to the girl who gave him tea egg. She hung her head and shook it, while Ku Xiao stretched his arm and handed the flowers forward. Hua Yi stared at the words Ren Xiaoyao, and the girl shyly and angrily avoided them. Ku Xiao handed it over again, and the girl hid again, pass it again and hide. Ku Xiao refused to deliver. He jumped forward through the bar and pinned the flower onto the girl's chest. 3 flowers bounced back and fell to the ground. Ah! The girl called out, but her voice was still sticky. Her face was flushed with embarrassment and anger, and tears as big as beans slid down her nostrils, but she dared not say a word. At this point, it's hard to tell who the brave person is. Ku Xiao was in a good mood and laughed, then turned around and shouted towards the hall. Run and team up, win the epic race car for sending pandas. Many people followed suit. There was a loud explosion in Fang Yuan's mind, as if someone was questioning him from a very distant place. What are you doing back here? What the fuck are you doing back here? Fang Yuan doesn't think he's a saint. He lived for 35 years in his previous life, and it's even more impossible for him to be in this life. He returned to the world with his 35-year-old soul, not seeking wealth. Although he needs money, he knows more about the importance of money being irreplaceable in a society where the bottom line is becoming increasingly uncertain 10 years later, but in his values, wealth is a tool for building happiness, a tool for dealing with mother.in.law, and a tool for protecting those around him. He also doesn't want to write books and pass on his life, or become a Buddha or a saint. Buddha can measure most people, but he cannot measure himself. But money can support everyone. What he wants is the clarity and harmony of his thoughts, and when he comes back, it is to make up for the missing regrets. We cannot protect the faces of all the poor people in the world, but we must also help the boat stabilize Zhuangxing's dream. It's okay if you don't encounter it. If you do, let his grandmother play ball. Most importantly, this girl is beautiful. In the currently popular TV series, Guo Ferong said, "Heroes save beauty, what a classic." Brother, take a cigarette from you. Regardless of whether the tin foil was hot or not, Fang Yuan casually took out a stick from Danny on the table, lit it, and took a deep breath. The taste is good, still quite strong. As the tin foil curled his lips, he stood up and walked to the bar, standing in front of Kushao. The non-mainstream girl with purple hair said, "You're so handsome, handsome guy. Let's get to know each other." Fang Yuan shrugged and ignored her, then took a puff of smoke and said to Kushao. "Sending a car is boring. Let's play, one game is 1,000, you pick the map." The surrounding area suddenly quieted down, followed by a series of, "Ho," and, "Who is this person?" The network administrator girl timidly looked at Fang Yuan behind the bar, but Fang Yuan didn't look at her. Kushao is just over 1.7 meters tall, and his hair is estimated to be 1.9 meters long. Standing face to face with Fang Yuan, he looks inferior in appearance and attire, but the little thug has a strong presence with a plump waist. Kushao smiled disdainfully, with the charm of a crooked mouth and a god of war. "You're talking big. Where are you, buddy? If you have money, just play. Who doesn't know that I, Kushao, started the game and won't step down for 10,000 yuan?" Fang Yuan touched his pocket, took out a stack of money, and placed it on the bar. He had planned to keep these 5,000 yuan in his bank account for tomorrow's outing, but only then did he realize that ATMs in several nearby banks do not support deposit services. He pinched the cigarette in the ashtray, took out another 50, and handed it to the internet administrator girl. 2 boxes of hibiscus kings, 1 lighter. Turning his head, he said to Kushao, "Don't mess around. I don't have a father or a mother. I'm running errands and eating on the street. A few days ago, I helped Shan Nanlu take off his foolish arm and earn some money. I'm almost finished spending it. I'm thinking about making some more money for meals. This is 5,000. Listening to Fang Yuan's expertise in blocking people, Kushao didn't have any intention of taking action. He looked at the onlookers and opened his mouth. 5,000 is too little for this scene. So do this, I still have 10,000 left on me. In the first round, 1,000, in the second round, 2,000, and so on, I lost until 15,000. It's not much of a game either. I promise to help you cut off someone who has suffered serious injuries, anyone will do it. If you win, stop whenever you say Hua, it's too big." The scene became noisy, and purple hair blinked its long eyelashes as it looked at Fang Yuan with a bright gaze. Kushao has a card, and he has swindled money from his biological father of many ages. He spends a lot of money all day without spending it all. He does make money by opening an internet cafe these days, and there are still around 200,000 yuan in the card. He plans to buy a car and pick up girls on May Day. Watching the situation unfold, Kushao felt a bit overwhelmed, but the key was that he didn't quite know the depth of the tall man in front of him. But 15,000 is not enough for me to see. He thought for a moment, took out his wallet, pulled out all the red tickets, and looked at them as more than 5,000. I have 8,000 here. Draw another silver CITIC card. Carry has about 200,000 yuan. If you win tonight, I won't stop. Winning everything counts as your ability. Fang Yuan picked up 2 boxes of Lotus King and change from the bar and handed Kushao a box. That's it. Kushao took the cigarette and thought it was interesting. He shouted to the waiter, "Come on, set up the table." Several male servers came over and cleared out 2 computers from the war zone. Fang Yuan and Kushao face each other. The machine configuration in this area is high, and there is also a large soft sofa. A dense crowd of people surrounded the area from front to back. Kushao stretched his head and asked, "Which district are you from?" Fang Yuan was confused. He forgot his own number and had to undergo beginner training and take a driver's license to register again. Otherwise, some maps wouldn't run and it would be a waste of time. So he said, "What area are you in?" Telecom 1, most of them here are Telecom 1. I am connected to the internet, and my glove level is low. Do you have any other number in telecom? Can you lend me one? Ku Xiao glanced at Huang Mao who came with him and said, Howsy, lend him your account. The other party said, our numbers are both the same, we have all the necessary equipment and cars. What car do you want to use? I can do anything, you choose. Do you want to clear the equipment? Ching, bear skin, just cotton candy for the car. It's new and suitable for racing. I'll build a house and take you. Huang Mao, named Howsy, logged into his account on the computer in the surrounding area. The background music of the game rang out. Thump, thump, thump 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 thump. Zhaozuiyuan.com. Fang Yuan looked at the colorful gloves and 3 fingers. This game has just been in public beta for over a month, and its level is really not low. I play it every day, win consecutively, and that's all. Ku Xiao's level will not be weak. Remove all the fancy equipment, change into marshmallows from the garage, choose the cute yellow, black girl, character like Hunan girls, and then Ku Xiao's pull information pops up. Do I choose a map? Fang Yuan said, you can choose. It's agreed upon. There are not many maps, and there are even fewer difficult ones. If there is no difficulty in the racing track, you can really compete in skills. Sure enough, the urban expressway. The track that professional athletes must practice is not difficult, and achieving good results depends entirely on the operation. Fang Yuan broke his fingers. In college, he made it to the provincial third in this track, which was over 1 minute and 47 seconds. There is a world record breaking 1.40, which is a mature thing for later racing and technical upgrades. After years of not playing, he is afraid of being born. Map loading. Red light, yellow light. Fang Yuan quickly pressed the left and right keys, and the black girl's yellow head shook. Green light, ding. Run away, give it a little spray. The first straight line, the circle remains unchanged, cuts the inner path, and runs in a regular manner. Ku Xiao drifted straight to accumulate nitrogen, and the 2 cars drove side by side. He felt a bit relaxed when he saw Fang Yuan running along the inner path. Yes, it's only been a long time since the public beta, and it's impossible for the operation of the Korean server to be practiced here. On the first bend, Fang Yuan tried to float a bit, but the cutting angle was a bit large, so the timing for straightening was a bit early. Fortunately, the feel is not too unfamiliar. The second straight line ended, and Ku Xiao accumulated 2 nitrogen gases and rode away completely. 5. Can I schedule a movie with you? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Many people looked at Fang Yuan and sighed in their hearts. This kid is a bit too big. How dare he gamble on his wealth with this skill? The internet management girl from Hunan doesn't understand games, and she can't even read them. She just feels a bit dizzy when the screen shakes around, but she still squeezes at the edge of the crowd, looking at Fang Yuan and his profile. The nose bridge is so high, and the upper lips are thinner. Oh, why are his eyelashes so long, and his eyes are also beautiful. I have seen him wearing a school uniform, but he is clearly a student. How can I deceive others into calling him a thug? Leaning her toes up was a bit tiring, and she stood flat for a while before quickly getting up again. The second bend. Based on experience, Fang Yuan adjusted the timing and lightly pressed the left button. Before the front of the car could react, he immediately pressed the right button to sway the tail and drift. Turning along the edge of the white line is incredibly smooth. Fang Yuan heard a sound coming from behind. At the last point of the curve, accurately align and float in the opposite direction. Ah! Cut again, drift continuously, drift 3 times. Just enough to fill this smallest bend with a grid of nitrogen gas. Shoe spray it a bit, wow. Sleeping trough, Can this place be filled with gas? How come I don't know? What happened just now? Why was there a nitrogen gas? At this point in the game, there were no screen prompts for achieving technical operations such as point drifting and continuous drifting in the later stages. Everything depends on eyesight. The game perspective can only see one's own operations, so the people on Ku Xiao's side were surprised when they heard this explosion, but they didn't think anything remarkable happened. After all, Ku Xiao just ran ahead with 2 nitrogen gases and no major mistakes. Fang Yuan didn't want to win the first game, but rather familiarized himself with the feel and practiced his techniques. I easily accumulated a few nitrogen gases and let Ku Xiao win in the second lap, crossing the line at the second 7. I felt it myself, very stable. Ku Xiao laughed and said, "Brother, it's not bad. It's only 3 seconds away, you haven't practiced much." Fang Yuan said honestly, "It's okay, I haven't played much lately." "Oh, that's it. Did you find the feeling this time?" "I won the first round, 1000, and the second round, 2000. "You're right, you can't stop." "Okay, you still need to choose the map." The onlookers were enthusiastic, but there were quite a few spectators in the surrounding area. Everyone still liked to watch the skilled people operate. Ku Xiao chose Town Finger. This map doesn't require continuous drifting to accumulate nitrogen, it tests the timing of cutting and exiting corners. The highest standard is to accumulate 1.5 nitrogen gas at the end of each bend. This operation requires fast continuous drifting twice at the end of each hairpin bend, achieving the ability to go to the Chinese server. I went up in a radius of 10 years, and my ranking is relatively low. Still running normally, in the third lap, I deliberately hit a wall on the path in the middle of the road, blocking Ku Xiao and crossing the finish line first. Ku Xiao used a foul language. Fang Yuan said, "Sorry, there was a mistake." Ku Xiaodao said, "That place shouldn't have been a mistake. If it were me, I wouldn't have made it." "Well, I'm still a hand-drawn student." Ku Xiao was speechless, but not in a hurry. He changed the map and continued. In half an hour, I ran a total of 9 maps. Under the intentional control of Fang Yuan, he lost the 1.4.6.7 inning. The 9th inning ended, winning from 50,000 to 14,000. From the number of games, it seems like 4.5 is similar, but the later the money is, the larger the amount. If you win 2 consecutive games, you can play back, and you're not afraid that Ku Xiao won't fall into the trap. Fang Yuan stood up and looked at Ku Xiao. Seeing his excited expression while drinking water, he smiled and said, "Are you still playing?" Ku Xiao was surprised and said, "Why not play? Are you going home?" After thinking for a moment, he asked Huang Mao again, "Should I lose or win?" Huang Mao shook half a white paper in his hand. "Remember, cousin. 4-5, you lost 9,000. If it weren't for the last 2 games, he wouldn't have lost all 5,000 and still owe you 3,000. Ku Xiao pondered again and calculated in his mind, but found that he couldn't figure it out. He waved his hand and said, "What do you say about this money? Just remember it and let me know if you lose." The other person said roundly, "Brother, your level is good. We have a lot of interaction and can play even. Let's divide the spring scenery equally and continue playing. We won't charge you any internet fees. As the saying goes, if you lose, I'll accept it. With so many people watching, we can't afford to lose. Divide the spring colors equally. I have no intention of fighting bayonets with you. Okay, I'll get a bottle of water." "Don't, you invite me to smoke, I invite you to drink water, get water for this guy." 20 minutes later, the 14th inning ended, losing October 13, 14. 5,000 is exactly 0, everything is under control. Another timely question. At the end of this game, I just finished losing 5,000. Do you still want to play? If you don't play, these 5,000 will belong to you. Ku Xiao was taken aback for a moment, looked at Huang Mao, and the person behind nodded, then burst into laughter. Play, it's less than an hour, and it's not a problem to play all night. Play with you to practice your skills. You can eat and drink whatever you want, and even if you run out of cigarettes, it's all mine. I've agreed, I can't stop without shouting, that's a promise. Okay, the 15th round. Hey, I remember quite clearly. You also remember, Housie. We don't take advantage of others. The win or loss ahead is too small, so I always win on my own for fear of making Ku Xiao angry and not playing anymore. After 20 innings, basically one inning was over 20,000 yuan, with each inning lasting 3 or 2 minutes. We won him 200,000 yuan, and it was just a break time exercise. Starting from the 23rd inning, the team won consecutively, and in the 27th inning, they intentionally conceded. Including their own 5,000, Fang Yuan 1103,000. Ku Xiaomua memorized that the score was almost the same, so he didn't even realize that he had lost 4 games. He was still enthusiastic, smoking a cigarette and thinking about changing maps. After running back and forth on several maps twice, he began to pick his own specialty to play with, and even thought to himself that he had taken advantage of it. He couldn't see Huang Mao, who was sweating and wanting to talk next to him. In the 36th round, Ku Xiao selected Forest to issue cards. This track may not have the best results in the surrounding area, but it is his favorite to play and requires skills as well as timing. If there is no miscalculation, this game can be showcased. Start, small spray, straight line, triple spray with a little spray. In the second of the game, one grid was full of energy. Where are you? Grass. Sleeping slot. 3 + 1 full slot. The first, grass, was shouted by Ku Xiao. He started and fell half a parking space, watching the black girl operating in a circle sway on the screen 4 times, and then a nitrogen gas turned into a black dot. What operation is this, Nima? The first hairpin bend, the square and circle press drift again. The wide front of the cotton candy car almost clung to the fence-like wall and fiercely swung around the corner, then shifted to the right position on the inside. Before stabilizing the car, a nitrogen gas was added, and it almost accelerated through this bend. This operation has caused another wave of alarm. Afterwards, take a small path, drift through, and the innermost lane, the square, was filled with nitrogen and completed 2 full laps, crossing the finish line. 2 minutes and 19 seconds. The 10-second countdown ended, and Ku Xiao didn't finish half of the second lap. The whole room remained silent. A person quietly asked, 2019, can we enter the national server? Then there is the sound of walking and searching. Finally, someone shouted, you're amazing. Now this map is the fastest in the country at 2.16, followed by 2.19. Someone approached the screen in the circle and looked at it. What about the last 2? This guy is 2 minutes, 19.36 seconds. The second one is 45. Hua, cha, the second best data from the national server. Brother, it's amazing. When can we team up and take care of it? Without hesitation, Fang Yuan stood up and said to Ku Xiao, come here. Don't play anymore. Ku Xiao Gang was also stunned for a while, then calmed down and said, are you feeling better now? Let's play again. It's almost 200,000 yuan. Ku Xiao was confused, except for Fang Yuan and Huang Mao on the other side, everyone was confused. The audience doesn't calculate how much money they win or lose, they just watch the show. Can you hear that in less than 3 hours, a win or loss of 200,000 yuan? It's too scary. Ku Xiao looked at Huang Mao looked at the surrounding area, and then nodded at his cousin, handing over the white paper that recorded the wins and losses. Ku Xiao lowered his head and calculated, lighting a cigarette without trembling. But I can't figure it out. Let someone bring a calculator and start pressing it. Zeroing, Add 4,000. Reduce 6,000. Add 25,000. Ku Xiao felt a bit frustrated in his heart. How can these things remove their sound? Reduce 35,000. Reduce 36,000. Equal to minus 205,000. He suddenly woke up and looked up at the square that was stretching lazily. 205,000, not including your own 5,000, just 200,000, did you calculate it? Fang Yuan shook his head with a smile and said, how could it be? It just happened, I think we've already counted it. Are you deliberately making me lose or win ahead? I didn't lie to you. I was really inexperienced and haven't driven this car before. After that, there will be about 20 minutes. The audience returned to their seats one after another, and some were still watching, but both standing and sitting were paying attention to this position. They want to see how to hand over 200,000 yuan, or whether Ku Xiao will give it or not. Ku Xiao smoked 3 cigarettes in his seat and remained silent, with a slightly relaxed expression. Fang Yuan didn't smoke and stood leaning against the sofa, looking at him calmly. There was no noise or keyboard typing in the internet cafe, as if everyone was waiting. Hunan girl and another female internet administrator stood shoulder to shoulder behind the bar. The girl is a bit worried about Fang Yuan. She knows what kind of virtue Ku Xiao is. She felt that Fang Yuan should not wait for the money and should leave quickly. She wanted to persuade Fang Yuan, but she didn't dare. Are you sure you want this money? Are you not planning to give it? Should I give it? Shouldn't you give it? This kind of ancient dragon-style dialogue can easily lead people into self-reflection. Fang Yuan learned from Shen Ningfei, to be precise, it is called a guided dialogue. When Shen Ningfei was a teacher, he always guided the children like this. The square and circle call it the great guidance technique of the mysteries. Zhaoshuyuan.com. Thinking of her, Fang Yuan unconsciously smiled. Just this smile seems a bit profound to Ku Xiao and a few others. Purple Hair thought to herself, you're so manly, so handsome. What Huang Mao thought was, how arrogant. Ku Xiao thought to himself, it's not bad that he's the one who takes off people's arms on the road. I should give this money. Ku Xiao stood up. He's not afraid of being around, he's afraid of losing face in his own territory. How many people are watching? Will he continue to do well in the future? It's just over 200,000 yuan. The internet cafe earns it in half a month. What else do you see with your biological father? Ku Xiao is grand. Fang Yuan smiled. The bank is closed now and cannot be withdrawn, Huang Mao reminded. Fang Yuan said, it's okay, it's the same tomorrow. Ku Xiao asked, are you not afraid of me turning back? It doesn't matter. Okay, it's a character. I won't go back on my word, nor do I have to wait tomorrow. I have cash at home, you come with me to get it. He nodded as Fang Yuan was about to leave when he suddenly said to the beautiful network administrator. I'm going out on a business trip tomorrow and can come back on the 4th or 5th. Can I invite you to watch a movie then? The girl blinked, as if she didn't understand. If you don't object, you agree. I'll come find you then. The girl understood and nodded. When passing by the tin foil, Fang Yuan placed his unopened bag of Furong King and lighter on the table. He doesn't like borrowing lighters from others, it's just borrowing their luck. Who knows if it's good luck or bad luck, so I bought a lighter and returned it. Thank you, the hairstyle is good. 6. Aspiring to become a treasure of women. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's almost midnight and there aren't many people on the street. Fang Yuan and Ku Xiao stood downstairs at the internet cafe, with several taxis specifically stationed here on the roadside. Let's go home with me to get the money. A car will fit perfectly. The same sentence, there's no need, it's the same tomorrow. Are you really not afraid that I won't see you tomorrow? You're not afraid of me, you're afraid of others saying you're not keeping your promise. When I come down with you, others will know that you haven't gone back on your word. If you don't give it to me tomorrow, you're afraid I'll come again. Fang Yuan said again. 200,000 is not a decimal, it's just a game. It shouldn't be such a large amount. The underground arena is usually not that big, and I didn't plan to win much today. I won't tell anyone about this. You go find 3 ATM machines and I'll take 60,000 because I urgently need money recently. Even if it's too much, no one's money is in vain. 3 people were shocked. Ku Xiao had been very stable all along, but suddenly felt a little flustered. His trembling hand lit a cigarette again, and this bag of Furong King had finished smoking. I won't be difficult to be clear in the future. Fang Yuan was taken aback for a moment, then realized that it should be the name of a girl from Hunan, which sounds quite nice. Are you looking for any girls? There's really no need to pay attention to a migrant worker. Ku Xiao puffed out his cigarette and said, you know how to float continuously. How did you practice? Only hands are familiar. Fang Yuan smiled and said, I can teach you. Ku Xiao took out the CITIC card and handed it to Huang Mao. This card doesn't have a limit of 50,000 yuan. Can you two help me withdraw 60,000 yuan from a few ATMs over there and put it in a bag? We'll wait here. When Huang Mao and Zi Mao left, Ku Xiao smiled. You are so fucking interesting. I just heard that you would go out tomorrow. I will buy you a drink when I come back. Going out of town, Fang Yuan pondered and added, blocking someone. Ku Xiao patted his shoulder and said, I can't tell how old you are. It feels like you're about the same as me. This industry has its ups and downs, so I advise you not to do it. You should know that my family is not short of money, but 140,000 yuan can do a lot of things. If you don't want it today, help me avoid my father's beating. I can also help you in the future. Fang Yuan was amused in his heart, but his mouth remained silent. I don't know your name yet, leave a phone number. Circle, there are no rules for that circle. After playing games for 3 hours, pretending to be a pushover, I invited beautiful girls to watch movies, and 5,000 became 65,000. The area is a bit rough, and all of this can be attributed to 2 points. Firstly, this is a routine operation for rebirths, the second one is very mystical, good people have good rewards. He thinks the first point has higher credibility. The bedside lamp dispelled the cold moonlight. The bedroom is not large and has a clear view. No cool decoration, no floor lamps, no iPad at hand, there will naturally be no Shen Ningfei on the double bed. The bed was already present in the house. But he likes to sleep in a single bed, which feels secure and comfortable. During the time when Shen Ningfei was separated, the double bed at home was always filled with blankets and extra pillows, and he only slept halfway. He has a great safety distance, and apart from taking a bath, he doesn't like to have any skin contact with strangers. Lying in bed, looking at posters of various celebrities on the wall. Zhou Huiman's, Gigi Liang's, Avril Lavigne's, Sakura's, Haruko Akaji's, the only male celebrity is Optimus Prime, and there is also a picture of Simba and the lemur, not a human. Where did you see Zhao Liying after graduation? At first glance, the Weibo accounts that followed her were all in the top 5,000, and in the end, they became extremely popular. He felt that his vision was more toxic than that of the brokerage company. Which celebrity was rare before? Yes, Park Minying, a city hunter, amazing. Take a look at them, they are very generous when it comes to cosmetic surgery. Women who are very generous are the most likable. The hobby of an old man is to have a tantrum and wild thoughts in the middle of the night. When I was in a daze, the feeling of something passing through my mind came again. In the dead of night this time, Fang Yuan caught it. He sat up and froze for a minute, then took out the notebook from his backpack and sat on the desk, starting to write and draw again. When he closed his eyes in the early morning, he thought to himself. I want to be the treasure of women. Tomorrow is the holiday, let's go climb Dongshan. No, my senior sister invited me to swim in the new world. What's good about senior sister? Where can the mountain scenery be beautiful? The elder sister said she would eat spicy hot pot after swimming. What's good about spicy hot pot? The elder sister said that after finishing spicy hot pot, she asked me to accompany her to change her second-generation ID card. The police station also releases Can I Go Swimming With You? 3 people are fun, just the 2 of you are boring. Please. The students walked outside the classroom in 2s and 3s, preparing to do their break time exercises, discussing how to spend the May 17th holiday. Shen walked into the classroom with high heels and looked around. Lu Su, Fang Yuan hasn't come yet. He's not answering the phone, this stinky kid. Lu Su didn't go to do exercises due to a stomachache. When he heard the homeroom teacher's question, he raised his pale face in pain. Not yet, Teacher Chen. He was also approached by other classmates just now. Shen walked over a few steps and sat in the front chair, saying, Do you feel so painful coming over there? Lu Su nodded and said, Sometimes it doesn't hurt that much, it hurts a lot this time. Do you still have hot water? Speaking, I picked up the pink thermos and looked at it. It was full and I felt it up close. It was still very hot, but I didn't move it. Drink plenty of hot water. If not, you can go home and rest. Anyway, tomorrow is also a day off. Lu Su shook her head and said, Thank you, teacher. I can persevere. I still have to talk about the midterm exam paper today, and I still don't know how to do it. Shen asked again, Have you noticed anything unusual about that stinky guy lately? Lu Su shook his head and said, When did that bad guy get through normally? Shen looked at her and thought this little girl was really beautiful. If you have any questions you don't understand, just ask Fang Yuan. You don't have to wait for the teacher to answer them. For ordinary questions, that brat knows how to do it. You don't have to think about anything else. Don't worry about anything else. She nodded vaguely and watched as the homeroom teacher left. Lu Su took 2 sips of hot water, which made her lips even redder. She edited for a while and finally sent a text message to Fang Yuan. Are you still here? Teacher Chen is looking for you. Actually, Fang Yuan didn't intend to skip class and didn't intentionally wake up late. In his concept, sleeping late and waking up late belonged to a normal routine. In later generations, there was a scientific research project that observed hundreds of people who worked 2 extreme jobs, namely day and night shifts. One is to sleep for 8 hours at night, and the other is to sleep for 8 hours during the day. The question is, which type of person is healthy? The answer is equally healthy. The most unhealthy thing is disrupting one's daily routine. Jiaohua Since I woke up late, I might as well sleep enough. After waking up, he did something big before heading to school. During break time exercises, he didn't want to enter school in public, so he found the corner in his memory where he could climb over the wall. Regular operation. When they arrived at the classroom, only Lu Su was lying on the table. He quietly walked over with his feet padded, leaned close to the girl's ear, sniffed the fragrance of her hair, and said with a gloomy voice. Eating popsicles, girl. Lu Su let out a scream and sat up in shock, staring with watery eyes. Why scare people? Fang Yuan shrugged his shoulders and saw that her face turned pale. He knew that 30% of it was because he was scared, and 70% was because of stomach pain. He arched into the seat inside, took out a pink hot water bag from his backpack, and placed it in the girl's arms. This is for you to use. The girl's gaze softened a bit and she said, What's this? Fang Yuan wants to talk about a bath towel, which looks very similar in shape. Hot water bag, put it in your clothes or stomach. Lu Su held it in her hand, it was still hot. Where did it come from? I picked it up on the ground. I said hot water. The barber shop poured it. Lu Su turned over and placed it inside her school uniform, outside her shirt, and above her belly. The hot water bag is so small that even the chest is very warm. Thank you. Her voice was like that of mosquitoes and flies. She turned around and suddenly noticed something strange. She raised her voice and exclaimed in surprise. Where's your hair? Fang Yuan felt happy and rubbed his head. Don't you think I went to the barber shop specifically to fill in hot water? 7. If you feel ugly. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When she woke up in the morning, Fang Yuan was grateful for two things. 1. Yes, he did indeed live again under the brilliant sunshine of 2006. 2. He remembered yesterday's Kushao's head shape and the current attire of most people. Compared to that, the second thing excites him more. At the age of 30, Fang Yuan reflected on why he didn't have early love in the beginning and came to the conclusion that at that time, I coincidentally met a hairstylist who liked to be independent. He has a future aesthetic and cannot tolerate his current hairstyle. So after getting up, he decisively went and cut off his hair that had gone through his ears. The barber shop is right outside the school gate, and he used to dye and even do ion perms like maple leaves. Think about it now, it's too foolish. That's great, with clean short hair that looks good on his face. Anyway, he's very satisfied with it. Lu Su was also very satisfied. The teaching director forced you to not cut it for 2 years, why did you cut it today? The little girl was very grateful for his warm water bag, and when she talked too much, it was a unique treatment for a good desk mate. You know, they don't talk to boys very much. Starting from scratch. You're still young and don't understand. The break time exercises have ended, and the formation is being organized on the playground. A sudden inspiration came to Fang Yuan. Lu Su, can I take a photo for you? Just take a photo with your phone. Lu Su blinked her big eyes and asked, why take photos? Fang Yuan thought about it and said, it's okay not to take a picture. Can I borrow the mirror? Lu Su took out a pink folding mirror from his desk and handed it to him. Fang Yuan said to Lu Suzhou. Do you make it? Looking at yourself in the mirror is actually not real. It beautifies people by about 30%, so its true appearance is uglier than in a mirror. Lu Su was dumbfounded, feeling that she had been saying things that she couldn't understand in the past 2 days. What I mean is, if one day you feel ugly. Lu Su is not happy anymore. What I mean is, if you find yourself, such as looking in a mirror or a photo, feeling ugly, would you feel uncomfortable? She wants to say. I only feel uncomfortable when I see you now. But she doesn't want to talk to him anymore. These days, male and female students like Lu Su, who strictly adhere to the principle of boys should not have ears, girls should not have shoulders, are rare. The matter of cutting Fang Yuan's hair short caused discussion in the class, but he didn't take it seriously and only sighed at the students' limited vocabulary and vulgarity. He believes that refusing to bury love and rejecting non-local affairs should be included in the code of conduct for middle school students. Before the teacher arrived, he turned to the girl in the back seat of Lu Su and said, Su Shui, can I ask you a question? Su Shui blushed in surprise and said, No, my mom won't let me. One sentence choked on the spot. You misunderstood. In fact, I am a good student who loves learning, labor, and resolutely prevents early love. Su Shui nodded and said, I know, Fang Yuan, your grades are so good. You're definitely not what others say. What do you want to ask? After getting angry, Lu Su kept burying her head, and her body trembled faintly. Su Shui's desk mate is an honest boy like her. Honest boys, like women, have a lot of psychological activities. Su Shui, are you blind? Did you forget about slapping Yang Hao's mouth during the self-study class a few days ago? Fang Yuan opened the mirror and said, Su Shui, if one day you find yourself inside the mirror. Square and circle. Chen Yuan appeared at the classroom door and interrupted his words. Come out. Hey. Did you get your hair cut? Okay, it's not ugly. Why did you skip 2 classes? Chen Yuan asked seriously in the hallway. I went for a haircut. I want to start over and study hard. Okay, isn't it more refreshing than before? Old class, you have discovered beautiful eyes. The square looked up and down. Chen Yuan wore high heels today, with blue blood vessels faintly visible on her snow-white instep. She wore black leggings and a long beige windbreaker over her shirt. Old Ben, I don't think it's necessary for you to have a blind date based on your appearance, do you? Chen Yuan exclaimed in surprise, how do you know? Because I have also discovered beautiful eyes. Nonsense. You can't skip class anymore. You'll have to deduct your ethics score. This is not good for the class and other students will have objections. Fang Yuan nodded and said, Old class, I have another question for you. Old class. What do you think is the secret to keeping women young and beautiful besides cosmetics? After careful consideration, Chen Yuan tentatively said, lie about age. Fang Yuan decided to switch back to the regular entry point. Chen Yuan saw him pull out a pink mirror and look at herself. In the mirror is the face that my mother reminded me to dress up carefully today. She refused blind dates in her heart, but her parents kept urging her time and time again, which made her impatient. See it as you see it, I really don't know who will be cheaper if I look so good. Why take the mirror? Don't be funny. I'm conducting market research, and I'll put it another way. If one day you find yourself ugly. Chen Yuan was so beautiful by herself that she snorted coldly upon hearing the words, with a displeased expression on her face. I mean, what if you find yourself in the mirror or in the photo not as beautiful as you imagined? Chen Yuan snorted again, do you dare to ask Teacher Li? Fang Yuan was recalled by these words, recalling the fear of being dominated in his first year of high school in his previous life. Even if he comes back from his life, he shivers all over. Not familiar, dare not. Fang Yuan rubbed his buttocks and returned to his seat. He understood that beautiful girls are always proud in their hearts. They refuse to admit that they are ugly, only beautiful and more beautiful, an unattractive girl. Even less likely to admit it. Su Shui mustered up the courage and used a ballpoint pen to poke Fang Yuan. Seeing him turn around, she gently inhaled and asked. What did you just want to say? Looking at Su Shui's expectant gaze, Fang Yuan could only say. Su Shui, knowledge is the second layer of makeup for girls, with a poetic and scholarly aura in her belly. I believe that one day, all of our questions will automatically surface in the ocean of knowledge and encourage us to work together. Fang Yuan consolidated the idea he came up with last night in physics class and felt that it was not a big problem. At the end of the 3rd class, Big Brother B from class 5 came to find Fang Yuan. This short and chubby guy is from a middle school in the vicinity, and he still has a good relationship after graduating from college. Just as he was about to chat, Big Brother B threw down the copy paper and hurriedly left. Sneak and see, don't leak out. I'll leave first, there are still clients waiting. Take a look at the content on the paper. The latest ranking of the top 10 beautiful women in number 5 middle school, attached. QQ numbers of various fairies. He remembered the great feat of Big Brother B 7 or 8 years later and the new title of Whoring the Earth. He looked for the book garden www.jiaohua.com and secretly praised it in his heart. Sure enough, professional qualities are all developed by Teimo's strengths from a young age. This Jiaohua List was created by Big Brother B and Sun Yu from class 7. Different from junior high school students who only distinguish what kind of class flower, school flower, and so on are selected as beginners. High school students have included young teachers in the list. Apart from the fact that the phone number is too private and inappropriate to disclose, items such as QQ number, email, birthday, zodiac sign, height, basic hobbies, and even 3 sets of numbers are classified and displayed. It's too easy to select 10 beautiful women from over 3,000 people, let alone some art students, transfer students, and transfer students, which causes the list to fluctuate from time to time. Basically updated during the midterm of each semester, only circulated within the male population, with 50 yuan per share. Fang Yuan has a good relationship with Big Brother B and doesn't spend any money. He remembered that the ranking had changed a lot this time. He glanced at it and found those 2 names. Qin Wanyu and Lin Lingshan. The production team will indicate that these 2 individuals are transfer students from their original school and have good grades. Qin Wanyu is a strong opponent who competes with Fang Yuan for first place in the grade. This kept Fang Yuan puzzled. First middle school is a key provincial school, why did you come here? Fang Yuan had an impression that Qin Wanyu almost achieved a remarkable feat of achieving full marks in humanities during the mid-term exam in the first semester of her senior year of high school. Then, this person suddenly disappeared, and no one knew why. At that time, he skipped school by drawing and paid little attention to the dynamics of the school. That is to say, not counting summer vacation, this talented and beautiful girl only appeared at number 5 middle school for more than 3 months, to the point where I don't even know what she looks like. 8 Pour Tears into Happiness. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The name Lin Lingshan has always been perceived by Fang Yuan as particularly unfriendly to Northeasterners. She was transferred from a private high school in Yucai, with average grades in cultural courses. She is a student with strong artistic skills and took the art entrance examination. Later, she heard that she was admitted to the Central Academy of Fine Arts and did not intersect with Fang Yuan. Chen Wan still didn't run at the top of the list. Qin Wanyu forcefully climbed to the top of the student school flower, ranking 2nd. Teacher Li, who was originally 2nd, dropped 1 place and became 3rd. Previously, the 3rd-ranked teacher, Li Xiang, became the 4th. I noticed that the original 1st, 2nd, and 3rd-ranked teachers were 3 beautiful women, also known as the famous 2 Li and 1 Chen, from the 5th middle school. The 5th one is a senior high school student named Yang Yi, who will be removed from the list by Big B after the college entrance examination in a while. I don't know which university's livestock will be cheaper. Lin Lingshan followed closely behind Qin Wanyu and was selected, ranking 6th on the big list and 3rd among students. The other few people are not familiar with each other. In his previous life, he only focused on skipping classes, playing games, and going to internet cafes, and had too little contact with girls. Some people in their 1st and 3rd year of high school don't even have a face mask. Lu Su has always been on the list, originally ranked 6th and also 3rd among the students. This time, he pitifully dropped 2 places and is almost out of the list. Fang Yuan leaned on his head and was reminiscing when someone next to him muttered. Bored. Fang Yuan asked Lu Su, do you know about this Jiaohua List? Upon hearing this name, the little girl found it amusing, but she suppressed it. Only you guys have time to play with such things. Why does it have a sour taste? Are you unhappy after losing 2 places? Actually, it's good. It's not easy to keep the top 10 out of thousands of people. I don't have any leisure time. It is widely recognized that Wanyu has been good-looking, good at studying, and good at temperament since childhood. Girls wouldn't be as funny as you guys, daring to write down the teacher's information. Fang Yuan thought to herself that Chen Wan knew about this thing 10 out of 10. According to her temperament, she might not be very proud and charming. Do you know this Qin Wanyu? We are all in the same class in primary and middle schools. What about Lin Lingshan? I don't know, Lu Su paused before saying. I heard she is very lively, with dark green eyes and chestnut hair. She probably has European ancestry. Fang Yuan couldn't help but burst into laughter as he watched Lu Su speak softly. Believe me, gossip spreads the fastest in girls' circles, and you are a natural medium. Lu Su twisted his arm in anger and pouted, "That's not it." Zhang Yao just walked in with a big bag of snacks and happened to see this scene. Zhang Yao is in great pain. In the past 2 years, he had never seen Lu Su, who was usually cold and indifferent to anything to the point of being a little girl like this. His father has a sizable construction company and just bought a 200 square meter new house under his own name in Dongshan Jiaohua. Apart from not studying, he does not have the common arrogance of the wealthy second generation. He has a small circle of a few people, and his biggest hobby is Lu Su and novels. He thought to himself, Fang Yuan is just a mutton shashlik. Apart from good study, no acne on his face, why would he rob me of a girl? He stood at the door in a daze for 2 seconds. In these 2 seconds, he fantasized about becoming the male lead in those fantasy novels. He stretched out his finger and emitted a brilliant light, turning the area into ashes and shouting loudly. "Let go of that girl, don't deceive the young man into poverty. But the key is that I am not poor either." This made Zhang Yao very depressed, constantly thinking about why and why. He couldn't control it anymore. He was going over and he was going to tell Lu Su. When you get to college, you'll know that men need to have money and a career to be able to do it. Little Bai Lian is nothing but eat soft food. So he stood in front of Lu Su in the eyes of the whole class and in the surprised eyes of the smelly mutton shashlik, his face turned red and countless pimples on his cheeks shone. "Fang Yuan. Can you please don't bully Lu Su in the future?" After speaking, pick up the plastic bag and place it on Lu Su's desk. "Here. These are for you. There are a few bags of XJ dates and brown sugar, as well as many snacks that your girls like to eat. You can eat them, they're delicious." Fang Yuan stared blankly, almost unable to hold back when he heard the words, "delicious." He thinks we should respect this boy and not laugh. He believed that Zhang Yao had made a considerable determination by saying these things. This boy just fell in love with a girl during his newly sexually mature and slightly naive years. Lu Su looked up and said calmly, "Zhang Yao, you didn't bully me around." She rejected Zhang Yao with the same attitude as others who refused to take risks every week to confess their feelings. In Fang Yuan's memory, he had seen Lu Su exhibit this template-style cold attitude many times, and she knew how to refuse. Zhang Yao was a bit anxious and continued to say. "Why not? You even pinched him. You never get angry with anyone, it must be him who made you anxious." "No way. Fang Yuan, don't think everyone is afraid of you, let's set a point together. Make an appointment, if you lose, you won't be allowed to bully Lu Su in the future." Fang Yuan ignored the commotion in the class and Zhang Yao, he just felt that the chatter was a bit off course. What does Lu Su mean to only blush with me and only fight with me? Aren't you pushing the girl into my arms? I thought you thought I was an enemy, but never expected that you were actually treating me like a brother. Lu Su blushed and stood up in anger. "Zhang Yao, what are you talking about? I said Fang Yuan didn't bully me. Why do you want to fight him? Why are you yelling at others? I pinched him because. Lu Su doesn't know how to lie, she turns her head and looks at Fang Yuan. With a dry cough, Fang Yuan took over the conversation. "Yes, she didn't pinch me. Just now, a mosquito fell on my arm, and she helped me shoot the mosquito but didn't hit it. It just flew away. Isn't it, Lu Su?" Lu Su nodded in agreement, feeling angry in his heart. What kind of nonsense can be made up? Zhang Yao glanced at her and then at the surrounding area, angrily saying, "Nonsense, where did the mosquitoes come from in April?" "You're right, that's a precocious mosquito." Fang Yuan believed it was necessary to stop this situation, so he slowly reached out to Lu Su under the stunned gaze of several people around her. She gently reached into her clothes at the waist. The back of the hand feels a warm and slippery sensation. Damn it, it's an extra layer. Start over. He felt the warmth and trembling from the girl's hand, and took out the hot water bag from her belly. The water is not hot anymore, let me help you change it. The teacher said, we should love our classmates and help each other. I am doing this to increase my ethics score. Without getting up after speaking, he placed the hot water bag on the honest boy's table in the back seat. Glasses man Zhong Xiaoguang didn't say anything and silently picked up a hot water bag and walked out. When interacting with people, many things are difficult to distinguish between true and false. Expressions can be fake, and words can be fake, but physiological reactions are the most authentic. For example, 1. The first palpitative touch. Lu Su felt a bit weak in her body, almost unable to stand, and her heart was beating rapidly. Fang Yuan pulled her down and said to Zhang Yao, I will never fight with my classmates again in the future. We are in the same class. If there has been any offense in the past, I apologize to you. You're right, people have always followed the instinct to pursue beautiful things in their lifetime, but we can't fight fiercely like animals. If we're uncomfortable, we can use violence. After all, I'm not wrong, right? The college entrance examination is coming soon, it hasn't been long. So, if there's anything I can't please you in the future, you just have to endure it. Zhang Yao and the melon-eating crowd were stunned. If you don't like me, just endure it. Is this what a person with conscience can say? Zhang Yao stood hesitantly, unsure of how to counterattack. He felt that he was no match for mutton shashlik, which was more uncomfortable than being beaten. Fang Yuan didn't want him to be too embarrassed and told Lu Su. Isn't this what you asked Zhang Yao to buy for you? Hurry up and give the money to someone else, it's almost time for class. Lu Su understood and took out his wallet, pulling out 100 yuan. I only have 100 left, he said. Fang Yuan shook his head and said, that's not enough. You need to know what you're buying. He took out 100 from his buttocks and handed it to her, that's about it. I don't. The second most authentic physiological reaction is the reluctance to accept. Lu Su did not act pretentious and firmly refused. He accepted the plastic bag and placed it between the stool and the square, holding 200 yuan and stuffing it into Zhang Yao's hand. Take it, hurry back to your seat, the bell will ring soon. Zhang Yaomu walked back to his seat dumbfounded, clutching 200 yuan. The goddess shook his hand and smiled sweetly at him, but he knew it was the last time. Such a beautiful smile represents kindness, tolerance, and even alienation. Zhang Yao's heart was empty. He took out his phone and sent a text message to his father. Dad, I don't miss high school anymore, it's too difficult. Father, who has always been very busy, replied surprisingly quickly this time. Get out of here, damn it. Fighting with hands is happening every day in this era. Relying solely on one mouth makes it impossible for people to speak. Did Fang Yuan just say that he will never fight with his classmates again? This is not repentance and obedience, it is evolution. Everyone was stunned. Zhong Xiaoguang pressed the bell for class and picked up the hot water bag. He was about to give it to Lu Su, but he felt like a smart child. After thinking about it, he decided to give it directly to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan took out a bag of crispy corns from a plastic bag and was eating them. When he received it, he was scalded and grinned. You girls are naturally not afraid of getting hot. Lu Su didn't respond and put the hot water bag back on his stomach, then wrote in his notebook. What does this sentence mean? You need to know what you're buying. Fang Yuan licked his fingers and wrote with his pen. Don't you think buying a boy's first love for 100 yuan is too cheap? Athena, you have to forgive those warriors who guard you. They may be impulsive due to their obsession with flowers, but their loyalty is beyond doubt. Lu Su's face lit up with a smile. Is 200 yuan enough for that? Almost, 200 can do something now. What's going on? You don't understand, don't be so curious about every child's family. I remember you're a Scorpio, are you Milo? Relatively speaking, I appreciate Milo's calmness and perseverance, but unfortunately in Legend of the Holy Land, this guy has become a woman, and the author is a second-rate. I don't like say either. Fang Yuan was stunned again. Lu Su wrote again. Lust wolf. Fang Yuan scratched her head. Ha, this little girl clearly knows a lot. If a girl scolds you as a pervert, she definitely doesn't dislike you, but if she scolds you as a hooligan, don't take any further action, otherwise you will be beaten. Lu Su wrote another sentence. If you don't understand, you can't buy love for 200 yuan at Shuyuan www.jiaohua.com. In a girl's heart, love is priceless. A string in Fang Yuan's heart suddenly snapped, causing a convulsive pain. Husband, can you transfer me 200 yuan? I want to buy a pair of small white shoes, the imitation one. Wei Chu Baba. Fang Yuan felt a tightness in his chest and couldn't breathe. He trembled and tore open the mouth of the crispy corner bag, pouring it into his mouth and chewing heavily. His eyes were extremely sharp, or rather ferocious. He wants to tell Lu Su. 200 yuan can buy love, really can. He wanted to tell Shen Ningfei. We will never buy anything fake again in our lifetime, don't cry. Fang Yuan half lowered his head, trembling. Lu Su panicked and wrote in the notebook, "What's wrong with you? I think of happy things, you feel very sad, are you going to cry? Why cry? Tears should be left for happiness. Is it because of that 17-year dream? What exactly did you dream of?" Fang Yuan thought for a moment and then wrote, "Dreaming of a kind of life." What kind of life? Looking for candy to eat in the shattered glass shards. The vast majority of people's lives. Lu Su did not ask this question again. Teacher Chen said that if I have any more questions that I don't know, I can ask you. Can you guide me? Fang Yuan smiled bitterly and wrote on the paper. I plan to start tutoring with the old class on the 4th or 5th, if you're willing, we can do it together, only supplementing mathematics. Do you think she only knows mathematics? Where can I take remedial classes? My home. Okay. 9. National Treasure rations, by no means ordinary products. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fang Yuan knew that Lu Su's purse was empty, so he took the initiative to take on the responsibility of buying food at noon. I still have beef tendon noodles and chicken chops, so I bought a bowl of beef tenderloin rice and ginseng chicken soup for the little girl. This Korean restaurant at the school gate only opened last semester and is very popular among female students, but Fang Yuan doesn't like it. After finishing his meal, he went to defecate and chatted with his buddies who were squatting together about the upcoming public beta of the Perfect World online game next month. In his previous life, he ruined his studies because he was addicted to this game, but he still couldn't help but praise others for his first facial recognition function. When speaking, I also remembered Sister Yuling in Sister Fairy. Although she was in the bathroom, she still took a few sips of saliva. Walking on the playground, he called 12580 and booked a hard sleeper ticket from Dongshan to Jining at 7 p.m. The first class in the afternoon is Chinese, and the teacher's surname is Wu. Fang Yuan has some impression of this middle-aged Confucian scholar, who is good at dancing and writing. Because the holiday is coming after today, the students' minds have already flown. And the midterm exam paper was also discussed yesterday. Teacher Wu had a sudden idea and said on the podium, "This class is about appreciating ancient Chinese literature. Then throw out a poem and write it on the blackboard, dancing with dragons and phoenixes." Half-cursive and half-cursive chalk characters are rare, and there are certainly not many high school students who can understand them. After carefully studying for a long time, Fang Yuan finally recognized that it was a 7-character quatrain. Wulong stretches 8,000 miles in the wilderness, shrouded in mist and narrow mountain temples, encountering without a chance, hating unintentionally, the ghosts' eyes at parting in their hometown. This level is definitely not a legacy of a famous artist. It is estimated that 80% of it was created by the Chinese teacher himself. Teacher Wu covered his mouth and coughed lightly, breaking the silence in the class. Students can be more casual. The handwriting is a bit sloppy, which student can recognize it? Seeing no one making a sound, Teacher Wu turned around to take a closer look and sneered, saying, "It's really messy. So, Fang Yuan, your Chinese is good, can you recognize it?" Fang Yuan sweats profusely, "Can you do handwriting identification with good Chinese grades?" There's no need to save face for the teacher, he nodded and honestly said. "I can recognize it. The teacher's handwriting is very good, and I can recognize it." Looking at the smile behind Teacher Wu's glasses, he read it once and then said, "Teacher, I think this is a 7-character ode to poetry." A few students who understood retorted, "It's a lyrical poem." Teacher Wu smiled and said, "Can you tell me, Fang Yuan? Why is it singing about the past rather than expressing emotions? Praise it, but it doesn't cost any money. There is little ambition to cross mountains and ridges. When entering the mountains and into the mist, there is no sun, but when seeing a crude temple, there is a hidden meaning." These are the first 2 sentences, although the last 2 sentences may seem dejected. Recalling a young heart is more about nostalgia rather than despair, nostalgia for not being young anymore, rather than hatred for this remaining life. The surface frustration cannot conceal the carefree mood in the artistic conception. I think this is what the author wrote to encourage future generations not to be ambitious individuals. So it's about singing about aspirations rather than expressing emotions. Teacher Wu looked at him in surprise and murmured, "Okay, okay. Fang Yuan understands, this means they have a deep understanding." Fang Yuan said again, "Teacher Wu, when I was a child, I read 300 Tang poems, but I haven't seen this one before. Did you write it yourself? Teacher is really amazing." Looking at the children's admiring gaze and scattered applause, Teacher Wu smiled coquettishly. Shy and proud, he pushed his glasses and said, "It's my work, it's for fun. Fang Yuan is right, this poem is meant to encourage you all. The 3rd year of high school is coming soon, followed by college. In the future, you will encounter various obstacles and dangers. The teacher advises you not to give up easily. Persistence is the only path to success." The classroom reached its climax, and Teacher Wu entered a state of mind. He asked his classmates to voluntarily write their favorite poem on the blackboard, both ancient and modern. Some are willing to go on stage, some write about the bright moonlight in front of the bed, some write about bamboo sticks and sandals beating horses lightly, some write about iron horses and ice rivers entering dreams, some write about waving their sleeves and not taking anything away, such and so on, all show various youthful hearts. Teacher Wu annotated a sentence below each line. "The bright moon shines in front of the bed, praising the white jade capital in the sky. Bamboo sticks and on shoes are lighter than horses, but they refuse to bow in front of horses and carriages. Waving one sleeve without taking away a cloud. Life can be arranged extremely lonely, regardless of whether others can understand or not. It is extremely provocative." Lu Su secretly glanced at Fang Yuan, gently clenched his small fist, stood up, and walked to the blackboard with the eyes of the whole class. He picked up his pen and wrote a delicate line of small characters. "Love, warmth, hope, you are the 4th day of the world." Then he walked back with a red face and sat down, not looking at anyone. Teacher Wu hesitated while holding the chalk. Fang Yuan felt amused, but Uncle Shimurong didn't even look at Lin Huiyin. Suddenly, Teacher Wu turned his head and looked at him with a smile. "Fang Yuan, the teacher thinks your understanding of poetry is not shallow. Lu Su is your desk mate, give you a chance to annotate a sentence." Fang Yuan was extremely surprised because I was her desk mate, so I went to annotate. What about logic? Whoever stands on the podium in the classroom is the largest. As he walked slowly with a hard face, he suddenly thought of a big joke and picked up his pen to write. "It's him, it's him, it's him, the young hero little Neza." Causing the whole class to burst into laughter. Lu Su angrily waved his small fist at him, and then followed suit with a coquettish smile. Teacher Wu was taken aback and then burst out laughing, "You're a bit quick-witted. You deserve to be the first in the grade. Your handwriting has become more beautiful. It seems you've practiced a lot. What about logic? What about logic? Fang Yuan is in great embarrassment. Teacher Wu raised his wrist and grabbed him. The class is about to end, and I will test you. If you say you have memorized 310 poems, then you can also write a poem on sight. Fang Yuan is going crazy. This uncle must have no ill intentions, probably because he values himself and is willing to make himself stand out. But didn't Ning take medication before class? What I'm saying is that I've seen it before. When did I memorize it? Is it related to you taking the exam for me after class? Teacher, where am I? Classmates, do you want to watch Fang Yuan write a poem? In ancient times, Cao Ji wrote a poem in 7 steps. Fang Yuan, you are the first in the school. How many steps do you plan to take? Cao Ji is an eternal bully. Why did he provoke you after being a bully for 2 years in less than 1,000 people? Forget it, Fang Yuan doesn't want to complain about it anymore. I walked back and forth 1 step, 2 steps, and 3 steps, looking at the stars forming a line. What other Chinese-style lyrics do Fang Wenshan have looking up at Lu Su? This girl is holding her smile and waiting to see herself make a fool of herself. Zhang Yao, playing with your phone, not looking at yourself. On the small blackboard at the back of the class, there was a drawing of this week's bulletin board. He remembered that he was still working on it himself, a round figure holding onto bamboo and gnawing on it. He took 3 steps back to the blackboard and said to Teacher Wu. Teacher, thinking of your masterpiece, I am moved and have also blindly written a 5-character poem to sing about the past. A few boys shouted, circle, awesome. 6 steps into a poem. Fang Yuan stiffened his scalp and waved his big hand. Every time he wrote a sentence, many boys would recite it loudly, deafening. Write the first sentence. I come from the mountains. Teacher Wu took out his phone and started recording videos. Write the second sentence. Step on the mud abyss with your feet. Many girls started reading along, and more people raised their phones. Lu Su seemed to feel Fang Yuan's emotions at this moment, suddenly covering his mouth and tears streaming down his face. This is the 3rd most authentic physiological reaction. Uncontrolled tears. As for the 4th physiological reaction, little Lu Su seems to have to wait a long time to experience it. There is no way, as a person is like a floating duckweed, and personal will is not enough to shake the predetermined flow of the river of fate. Fang Yuanyu saw the homeroom teacher standing outside the classroom door and a short and beautiful woman with half a head beside her. Li Li was wearing a long skirt with black gauze hanging down to his ankles, with ink hair flowing down and an oval face. She was cold and unparalleled, beautiful and extraordinary. Chen Wan was disturbed by the noise in the class, and Li Li was chatting with her in the office, walking along. The 2 of them watched the scene and stood quietly outside, watching without speaking. The 3rd sentence. No one feels bitter year after year. Fang Yuanbi walked around and unconsciously began to connect his strokes. He listened to the voice behind him and knew it was a compliment for himself. Remembering my own background, remembering every lonely and cold holiday, remembering the life I owe, that girl grasped the chalk firmly and write the last sentence. Step by step into the cloud. The classroom fell silent for a moment, followed by a thunderous shout. Step by step into the clouds. Step by step into the cloud. Zhang Yao put away his phone and muttered in a muffled voice, with a pensive expression in his eyes. Teacher Wu held up his phone and said. It's very good, using bamboo to express one's aspirations. There's not a single word for bamboo. Most people also know the beauty of this poem and are even more excited. Chen Wanmiao's eyes flowed with emotion and approval, and her emotions turned into a smile on her face. Li Li had no expression on her face. Compared to her, Lu Su's title of Ice Mountain Beauty was simply fake, and the book garden www.zhaohuayuan.com was extremely untrue. Fang Yuan turned around and saw the excited, shouting, and forcefully patting classmates, as well as Lu Su crying and nodding at him. He smiled and arched his hand at everyone, saying, "I lifted it up." Chen Wan walked in, stopped the shouting of the class, and then said something to the circle that was 3 parts proud and 7 parts dark and cheerful. "Don't be arrogant, writing poetry in the college entrance examination essay won't give you a score." Fang Yuan rubbed his nose and saw Li Li walk in lightly. The boys exclaimed to themselves, "Li Li doesn't teach high school sophomores. It's not easy to see her from the Three Beauties school." Li Li's voice is particularly clear, like a yellow warbler coming out of the valley. "Teacher Wu and Teacher Chen, can I annotate this poem?" Chen Wandao said, "You taught him in your freshman year of high school and also taught this stinky kid, why not?" Teacher Wu also agreed without hesitation. Li Li looked at Fang Yuan, who had no resistance against her at all. He flattered and said, "I can't ask for it." The palm, almost as white as chalk, quickly wrote 2 lines of poetry. "Don't worry about the future without a confidant, no one in the world knows you." Her handwriting was flying, completely different from her cold personality. After finishing writing, Li Li turned around and was about to leave. Suddenly, he stopped and lifted his chin in a circle, saying, "Is that okay?" Fang Yuan gently bowed and said, "Teacher Li can be called a confidant." Li Li blinked his eyes and said, "Okay, then give yourself a name for this poem." This. Naming something is the hardest part. Untitled is definitely not possible. Fang Yuan twisted his head and thought for a while, but couldn't come up with a solution. He then looked at the rolling circle behind him, "Raise your hand and write." Bamboo is not just the food for pandas.